But don't like force yourself into a box because you want to be with someone who's in that box. Because once you start living life together, it's gonna start clashing and it's not gonna work.
Yeah. I wasn't putting on a front, like getting all the expensive things.
Yeah.
Trying to like woo you with steak and shrimp when I don't actually buy that on my own.
Yeah.
But I really wanted you to get an honest depiction of my life. So you weren't saying yes to something or even like hanging on to a relationship with a person whose life doesn't align with what you're envisioning for your life. Sometimes when people are looking for someone, they can sometimes shift the way they live to better suit the person they're looking for instead of just living honestly to how they live.
Yeah, and like that's just gonna get tiring and it's gonna fall apart one day. All right, guys, today we're gonna talk about being honest about who you are when looking for the one.
I think that when we talk about honesty, it's important to say that we mean internal and external. So honest.
What do you mean by that?
I mean being honest with yourself about who you are.
Yep.
But also honest with others about who you are. So sometimes we try to like almost like build our brand, our personal aesthetic in a way that will attract someone we want, but it actually isn't accurate to who we actually are.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll like curate that image internally and we'll start convincing ourselves like, oh, I like this or I like that.
Yeah.
And then we do the same thing with others where everything that we portray to someone else is one way when we really like and almost like are someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think a good example of this is when I was single for a bit before I met Daniel. I was trying to like, I don't know, I guess find who I was, find out maybe who would be a good life partner for me. And I feel like I had a little stint where I was like, yeah, like I'm a hiker girl. Like I like hikes. I like adventure. And you know,
you wild girl.
As the years have gone on, I've been honest with myself, I am not that girl at all. Like I like being active and I like the outdoors, but I'm not someone that's gonna like prioritize that every Saturday that I'm free. Like it's just not me.
I think sometimes we do this thing where it's like we want to put ourselves out there.
Yeah.
So we start doing classes or participating in groups that we think will put us in the way of meeting new people.
Which is good.
So like we'll go like pottery class.
Yeah.
But the thing that you don't want to do is like put yourself into an identity that's not actually yours. So it's like you don't want to portray yourself to be someone who is like a lover of pottery when you're not actually that. You're just trying to do it more recreationally.
Right.
Like I think that it's only appropriate at this point to warn people about run clubs. Run clubs are super trendy right now.
They are.
A lot of people are joining run clubs because it's a great way to stay active, but also meet new people. Not necessarily for romantic ends, but just meeting new people in your city or whatever. If you go to a run club, don't convince the people you meet. Say you meet a cute guy or a cute girl. Don't try to convince them that you're a runner when you're not. Be honest about that.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm using this as an avenue to meet new people, because you won't help the person you meet, and you won't help yourself if you convince them you're a runner and you're actually not. It'll just be embarrassing. And it'll just be a hard like transition, and then you're gonna have to break it to them. They're gonna be heartbroken, and it's gonna get awkward. So.
And something I want to note here is like, you know, some of you might be like in your early 20s, maybe like late teens, and still like figuring it out. Like, what do I like? What do I not like? And those things change over years. So like, you don't need to fully know who you are in that moment, but don't like force yourself into a box because you want to be with someone who's in that box. Because once you start living life together, it's going to start clashing and it's not going to work.
Yeah. And I think just how the same thing goes for like just what we're saying about like hobbies or like group recreation. The same thing goes for like your emotions as well. Like it's important for you not to like pretend you're chill when she makes that joke about you, or pretend you're chill when he, I don't know, talks about sports too much, when you really get bothered by it. You know what I mean? It's just like, don't pretend you're more chill than you are. It's so important to recognize that they will only be helped as they get to know you.
Yeah.
If they have an honest appraisal of what makes you tick, what ticks you off, and who you are as a person emotionally.
You shouldn't ever really be like putting on a face.
Exactly.
Like, even if you're someone, like, you're just human. You're not going to be like this positive person all the time. If you find yourself being like, oh, I have to be really smiley and positive every time I'm around the person I like because I know they like that about me. Yeah.
There was one thing that Mariah and I did when we were going on our first date. Our first date, you might have heard this, what was a Daniel Caesar concert.
It was awesome.
If you watched one of our previous videos, we mentioned it. But anyways, we were driving on our way to the Daniel Caesar concert. It was like 3 hours from the town that we were kind of meeting at. And I was so tired, just had a long day of work. And we were driving on the way back. And again, 3-hour drive. I drove all the way there, but on the way back, I was just getting so tired. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to try to impress this girl. I'm going to just tell her I'm tired, had a long day. Could you drive for a bit? And so in that moment, we got to bond because she was like, she appreciated my vulnerability. You can speak to that, but
I appreciated that he was vulnerable and that like he would even let me drive and like be able to kind of step in that way. And then I feel like another way I was vulnerable in that moment is that it was mid-November. Yeah. And I'm a person that cracks out the Christmas music around that time of year. Honestly, I am. I love Christmas.
That may be controversial.
Yeah, that might be
controversial. But Christmas starts early in our household.
But I love Christmas, and I honestly didn't know what Daniel would think about that. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to listen to some music while I'm driving because it can't be dead silent in here. It's late at night. And so I was like, do you mind if I listen to the Destiny's Child Christmas album? Yeah. And you like love that album and stuff. But I feel like in that I was like showing like, you know, this is who I am. Like I love this album. I love Christmas music. Yeah. So there was that. And then I remember even like singing along to it and stuff. And like, it's so funny to think back on because I would be way too embarrassed to do that. But I was just like able to show you who I was. I feel like.
So Mariah was honest about what she likes. Yeah. Christmas music. Even singing out loud. I was honest about my tiredness, and it only helped our relationship long term. Yeah. And then the last thing I would say is be honest about how you live your life, like practically. Yeah. Like I remember earlier on when we were dating, I'm a super like thrifty grocery shopper, so I wanted her to get a sense of that because I wasn't gonna be.
And I sure got a sense.
I wasn't gonna be bawling at the grocery store at that time of my life, and I still kind of have that thrifty side to me, but. Yeah. And so we just went grocery shopping, and I just took her doing normal things as I kind of was starting out life in my 20s. And it was helpful because I wasn't putting on a front, like getting all the expensive things. Yeah. Trying to like woo you with steak and shrimp when I don't actually buy that on my own. Yeah. But I really wanted you to get an honest depiction of my life. So you weren't saying yes to something or even like hanging on to a relationship with a person whose life doesn't align with what you're envisioning for your life. Yeah. You know what I mean? Totally. So I feel like honesty is so important when you're looking for someone. I think that sometimes when people are looking for someone, they can sometimes shift the way they live to better suit the person they're looking for instead of just living honestly to how they live. Yeah, and like that's just going to get tiring and it's going to fall apart one day. So you might as well figure out what you truly like, who you truly are. And the right person will be attracted to that and be drawn to you for that. Yeah, yeah. I hope this video was helpful. Yeah. I know that some of these thoughts really helped me as we were getting to know each other, and I hope they can help you as well. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. If you can't tell, I'm very pregnant. So like and subscribe so you can see what happens in the next few weeks when our baby comes. Yeah, journey along with us. We're so excited for the days ahead as we welcome our new boy. We'll talk to you next week.